Okay, I'm at 4525 Cooper Road, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. Looking for any structural issues, mainly anything that would be of concern to the buyer. The access here is the center rear stack. You can see it's cast iron around the base. It'll clean out, and then it has been replaced with PVC, it looks like. Most of the other interior plumbing has been replaced with PVC.
You won't find out in my house.
And so, cast iron is normal for the age of the house, and it's not an overall bad material, but it does, which actually is a very good thing. There's only a little bit of cast iron here, just at the base, and then as soon as it gets under the floor, it switches to clay. Clay is a lot
I've seen
better.
before where they might use it as a chase to run wire, but I've never seen them.
Clay's a good material. It doesn't disintegrate over time. It can last a long time. The thing we do normally see with clay, or I should say the most common thing we see, is root intrusion. Clay was installed in like 3-foot sections. If you notice, there are a lot of seams that are pretty close together, and so that's where you get, over a long period of time, the packing that they would use in those sections and those connections can break down and just allow a little bit of, they kind of crack, or you get a little opening in the packing, and that's how the roots get in. So it's really common to have a little bit of root intrusion. It's probably 90% of the clay lines that I inspect. There's a connection coming in. And it may have been cleaned out. But so far, yeah, you see there's a little tiny bit of roots there. Not nothing to, you couldn't even do anything about that at this point. And there's a little bit more. And now this looks like, back to this spot, looks like it's getting in a little bit at that joint there. About 32 feet, and then growing down a little bit down into the flow line. And this may have been cleaned. It looks like there's a little bit of root intrusion that has been chopped off there. But maybe not. I just saw that build up. See, there's some root intrusion here, and this. See, now this could be either roots that were broken loose and not flush. So what we're going to do is we'll try to run some water there on the way back, and we'll see if we can loosen that up and get that on down the line. So you can see this stuff sitting in here. And so it may be a good idea to have this line flushed out. I'm not sure how long the house has been empty. It does look like this was a flip. And so we got some mud on the front of the camera. So we'll see if we can run some water and flush this out. But either way, I should be able to make it all the way to the main, as long as there's no obstructions. And then a lot of times you can rinse the camera off there and see when you're pulling back. So we'll keep pushing here until I see something. But I am going to start running some water and see if that helps. Well, maybe. I don't know. We're going to have to use this hose here. We'll run some water through it, and hopefully that'll help flush the line out, and it'll also help. We'll be able to see the functionality of the line also on the way back. But I'll just keep pushing. There we go. Run it through it so you see some. water there. Now I don't know exactly where this runs, if the main is in the front out in Cooper, or if it goes out the rear and over to the side. Until I get out to the point where I feel like I might have already been in the main. Seems like we're diving, getting pretty close here. Alright. There we are into the main. So, 92 feet. So we'll sit here for a minute, we'll wait for that water to make it all the way down. It could take a minute. But we'll see. We'll give it a minute and see how long it takes, and then hopefully we'll be able to rinse off that camera lens. A lot of times when you're pushing out like that, you kind of plow things up in front of the camera, and then you end up with that build up on the front of the camera, and that's what happens. And it looks like the water has already reached there, which is a good sign. That means the line's got a good pitch on it, because it didn't take long at all for that water to get through the line. So we'll try to see if we can rinse it off. We can obviously see here there's that little dot on the left hand side, and so should be able to get to a spot where we can see a little bit better. And then it's off. There we go. See, there we go. We can see what we were just kind of barely underwater at that spot. And so that's the only real major issue with running water, is that you're adding to it and hope it doesn't cover the lens on the camera. The good news is, so you can tell that this is running pretty well by how fast the water got there. And those little lips like that are pretty normal, as far as they would take these male and female ends with the pipe, and instead of using fittings, they kind of slowly turn and rotate every 3-foot section of pipe down to get drop, or to the left or to the right. They didn't have to use all the fittings as often as they do today. You can see there's a build up there on the right hand side. It looks like that may be calcite, probably some roots. Yeah, looks like some root intrusion there. That's at about 78 feet or so. A little more, I may be calcite, or the packing coming through. Seems hard, it doesn't seem like roots, so it's probably calcite, which is just the mineral deposits coming through the line, or coming through the connection. So the good news is that structurally the line looks really good. Just had some root intrusion there. Some more root intrusion, and a lot of times when you see it in small bundles like that, like you did see it further up, that I was mentioning that it might have been calcite there. It could also be really fine finger roots. I don't see any trees, unless this goes out the rear, because There's a pretty minor amount of roots in all this. I think this was one of the heavy spots there. Yeah, there we go. We saw a pretty heavy one right there. You see, I think this may be where all that buildup is that we got stuck in earlier. And then we come through and there's some roots. So I'm going to recommend that the line be cleaned. You're going to have to clean the roots. It's obviously causing a little bit of buildup here. The water's building up behind that little bit of roots, and it is down in the flow line, as you can see. So it's about 51 feet. There's some more roots there. And so this has just got a lot of buildup of roots and debris. Problem is because it's holding water, you can't really see because of the debris holding water. See, he's slowing it up enough to where it doesn't want to rinse out. And so the worst spot was at about 51 feet. And then we have this one with a pretty long spot, about 35. You can see there's a lot of growth here. So the roots will continue even after the cleaning. They may continue to grow back unless the trees are removed or you do regular maintenance. Once you have it cleaned, you could use some chemical like Root X to treat it about once a year to try to keep the roots down. But in this case, I'm going to recommend a cleaning and then another inspection may be a good idea. A lot of places that do cleanings will be able to inspect after the cleaning to see what kind of condition the line is, where all that buildup is. You can see here most of the line looks good until you get to this spot right in through here. So most of the roots are between like 35 and 60 feet. 51 was the worst. That was the spot that would need some immediate cleaning. See all this. So 35 and 51. So structurally the line is holding shape. There's no collapses or big holes or anything like that in the line, but you do have some root intrusion that will need to be maintained. And so I'm going to recommend an initial cleaning, and then some yearly chemical treatment like Root X to be able to keep those roots down and at bay so they don't grow enough to cause any kind of backup or anything. But again, structurally the line looks intact and is holding shape, and so should stay open. You just need to do some maintenance on the line to make sure that those roots don't cause any more issues. There are permanent solutions to roots. You could either those would be either lining the pipe, which this line is a good candidate for it, because it is holding shape and it's not deformed in any way. Or you could just dig up and replace the line. Those are the two permanent solutions, but those are pretty costly. And so what most people do is they just do maintenance on it, as long as they know that that's an option. You can do, again, the main thing is just to have it cleaned initially to get rid of all the buildup, and then possibly a reinspection when that's done, just to check to make sure that once you get rid of those roots, there's no big holes or anything behind them. And then go from there as far as a yearly chemical treatment to keep the roots down. But the clay's been in the ground a long time and could continue to be in the ground a long time as long as the ground doesn't shift and cause any damage. It's been there for a long time, and it should be there for a long time to come, as long as you maintain it correctly. So that'll end the inspection at 4525 Cooper Road in Blue Ash, Ohio.